Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Birding. 4 days after External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar returned from Pakistan after the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, Pakistan was back to doing what it does best: return every overture from the Indian side with a dose of betrayal. And that's exactly what happened last night. Terrorists carried out an attack in Gandarbal area of Jammu and Kashmir, where labourers and other staff who were working on the tunnel project returned to their camp late in the evening. An offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba, the resistance front, claimed responsibility for this strike. A clear message has now been sent out by India that this will not be tolerated and Pakistan and its proxies will have to pay. Union Home Minister Amit Shah condemned the killings. He called the incident a cowardly act of terrorism and vowed that those responsible will face severe retribution from the country's security forces. Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah too, condemned the attack. He highlighted that the victims were engaged in a key infrastructure project that's crucial to the region's development. So let's get you a sense of what this infrastructure project really is about. Now, this tunnel that we're talking of, labourers of which were under attack, this is important for the country because it offers an all-weather road between Srinagar and Sonamarg. It seamlessly adds connectivity to Kargil. It reduces travel time from Leh, from the capital of the Union Territory. Once that tunnel is operational, it will offer a year-round connectivity from Sonamarg to Srinagar. It will bypass the avalanche-prone areas as well. Apart from tourists, this is also crucial because it allows faster movement of forces to and from Ladakh, which is why it's not just important for the state in terms of tourism and connectivity, but also to ensure our borders are fortified, our security is enhanced. Now, politicians in Jammu and Kashmir are speaking in one voice against Pakistan for terrorizing innocents in Jammu and Kashmir. Interestingly, that wasn't a pattern until long ago. Let's get you a sense of what Farooq Abdullah, the National Conference patron, had to say. When he was in opposition, when Farooq Abdullah was over the last 10 years, when it was a central rule in Jammu and Kashmir, here are the comments that he said. He said that terrorism will stay unless we talk to our neighbour. This happened in Jan last year. He said we must stop fighting our neighbours. We'll only prosper if neighbourly ties continue. Pakistan is not anyone's personal property to claim as ours, is what he had said back in November 2016. This is what he said when he was in opposition. But now, the National Conference, along with the Congress, its ally, is in power in Jammu and Kashmir. So what do we have Mr. Farooq Abdullah say today? He says if Pakistan government wants friendship with us, then it needs to stop this. Talks cannot happen until a price is paid by Pakistan and its stooges for fomenting trouble here in Jammu and Kashmir. So we wonder why this sudden change of tune that has come to the fore from Farooq Abdullah, the patron of the National Conference. Is this simply a case of opportunism over national security? We open that up tonight.
जल्द से जल्द उन लोगों को अंजाम तक पहुंचाने के लिए और सभी लोगों की पहचान करने के लिए शीघ्रतापूर्ण कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए।
मैं पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरानों से ये कहना चाहता हूँ, अगर वो सचमुच हिंदुस्तान से दोस्ती चाहते हैं तो फिर ये बंद कीजिए। कश्मीर पाकिस्तान नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा।
Let's open this up. Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, joins us. Sandeep Wazir, leader of the JK National Conference. Lieutenant General retired Satish Dua, who's a former GOC 15 Corps Indian Army, joins us as well. Before we get into the politics of it, Lieutenant General Dua, let me ask you, this kind of attack, now we're seeing there's a back and forth as far as targeted areas in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. We saw these attacks move to the south of Pir Panjal in Jammu region in the recent past. Now it seems like it's gone back to the Kashmir region. And terrorists are going to be perhaps out of a job after a few months because we're going to see the seasons change. We're going to see snow cover up all of these areas. Is that why we're seeing such kind of an attack that we saw yesterday?
Uh, First of all, Poonam, I think when the south of Pir Panjal was activated a few months ago, it was largely to do with two facts. Firstly, the approaching elections that time, whether it was Lok Sabha initially and thereafter the state elections, assembly elections. And secondly, the grid in Kashmir Valley was very robust and strong. And there, that is in south of Pir Panjal, Punch Rajouri region, they could find that the deployment was not uh, as robust as the north because of comparative normalcy there. So they activated that region to instill fear in the minds of people. But the centrality of the whole issue, the center of gravity, has always been Kashmir. It had to come back to the valley. Now that the election process has taken place, both the elections have passed off peacefully and a very participative election has taken place. A new government has been sworn in. Now the terrorists are feeling threatened, frustrated. They are trying to now go after soft targets. I mean, how cowardly is this when you actually kill laborers outside the mess, their canteen when they're going in for dinner? So they're just trying to create that kind of fear in the minds of people, and so that everyone doesn't get a feeling of normalcy. It's almost as if they've been told, I'll just end with this, it's almost as if they've been told, election ho gaya, sarkar ban gayi, what are you guys doing? That's what the handlers are telling them. And then they go into something like this. But I'm very sure that they will not succeed. We will hunt them out.
Like you said, that desperation is pretty evident, not just elections. We had the Kashmir Marathon yesterday. These are signs of normalcy returning to Jammu and Kashmir. And the timing really is what is interesting. But speaking of timing, and I want to get in Sandeep Wazir as well, the timing of the kind of comments that are coming to the fore from Farooq Abdullah are also very interesting. He's been propagating talks with Pakistan for the last 10 years. Suddenly today we have him say that talks cannot happen, Pakistan has to stop this. We welcome what he has said, but why the change in tune?
No, he has been saying this all along. This was his stance earlier also. He has told Pakistan not to interfere with Kashmir, and then only we can talk. This was his stance earlier also and now also. He's saying the same thing.
No, he's not. He has said Pakistan is our friend. It's our neighbor. We must engage with them. They are stakeholders too. That's not the tone we had Mr. Farooq Abdullah take today.
See, that is the fact. Pakistan is a neighbor. You cannot change it. The only way forward is talks. But Pakistan has to stop it. That too is a fact. That is what Farooq Abdullah is saying. He has not changed his stance ever. I think what he has said today was is the true thing he has said. He has said that Pakistan should have to stop because Pakistan cannot take Kashmir by force.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but we have not heard Mr. Farooq Abdullah in as many words call out Pakistan ever before. Is it because now there is a national conference, Congress government in the state, in the Union Territory? And up until now, up until 2 months ago, for the last 10 years, it was central rule in Jammu and Kashmir with a party that was not your ally, a political rival of yours.
See, the thing is that Pakistan is also a nuclear power. We have to see that. See, Pakistan is a rogue nation. And an irresponsible nation. That makes Pakistan more dangerous. And we have to be wise enough to deal with Pakistan. And Farooq Abdullah is saying this from the very beginning that Pakistan is a rogue nation. If we try to muzzle their voice by force, we cannot do that. And even Pakistan cannot take Kashmir. We have to talk to them. But today also he has said that if Pakistan want talk and want peace and want a way forward, they have to stop all this nonsense. People are dying over here, and terror and talks cannot go together. This is what Farooq Abdullah has said. I don't see any change of stance in Farooq Abdullah's statement.
Pradeep Bhandari, are you convinced with that? Farooq Abdullah always said this. You may think that he's now echoing what the BJP said all along, but that's what he's been saying all along too. Is that something that the BJP agrees with?
Well, Poonam, not just me, not even anybody in the country will believe what the NC spokesperson is saying and Mr. Farooq Abdullah is saying. You know, if somebody is consistent in his stand, then you can not term it as opportunism. But Mr. Farooq Abdullah is not consistent in his stand. In the past, if you recall that it is Mr. Abdullah, when we were acting very tough against the Pakistan, whether it is the surgical strike or doing the cross-border operations, it is Mr. Farooq Abdullah saying that Pakistan also has a nuclear bomb and they are not wearing bangles. So Mr. Farooq Abdullah has always favored a soft stand and a soft policy towards Pakistan, and this is what the UPA had practiced earlier when even after 26/11 they could not conduct a surgical strike. So there has been a huge shift in India's policy towards Pakistan, where we have dehyphenated the India and Pakistan on the global level, and this is what every other nation has acknowledged. And even on terror, we have isolated Pakistan on the Global Committee of Nations. On the part of Kashmir, it has to be very, very clear that Poonam, that Jammu Kashmir is an internal matter, and the entire Jammu and Kashmir, including the POJK, belongs to India. Mr. Farooq Abdullah has not been consistent votary of that. In fact, right now, as I was speaking, I was hearing the NC spokesperson. He was saying that Pakistan cannot take Kashmir by force. In fact, Pakistan can never take Jammu and Kashmir by force, or there is no question of talking to Pakistan or talking about Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir is an internal matter. So Mr. Abdullah is opportunistic, he is confused, and maybe this might be just a one-off incident where he said it. If he maintains this stand in a consistent manner, we can believe that it's a shift in stand. Because remember, before the election, it is Mr. Umar Abdullah who said that Afzal Guru's hanging should not have happened, and if it would have been in his power, he would have prevented it. All of this was giving a signal to a larger part of a vote bank, but it was also considered to be appeasing towards terrorists, even hard terrorists and soft terrorists. So I don't take Mr. Abdullah seriously. If Mr. Abdullah continues to speak what he said today, then we can understand there has been a shift in stand. But in the past also, you've seen multiple times how Mr. Abdullah and the Congress party has flip-flopped. But the larger part, Poonam, is that the terror attack which has happened, the Home Minister has categorically said that retribution will happen. However, it is important to note that this is the first attack which happened on a key infrastructure project, and this is why the government is taking it extremely seriously.
And it has to be taken seriously. Sandeep Wazir, there are absolutely no doubts about it. But like I said,
Yes.
The party, by you I mean National Conference, the National Conference patron, Mr. Farooq Abdullah, today you face allegations of political opportunism because of several instances in the past where you've questioned the Indian government's stance vis-a-vis Pakistan. Despite on such issues, the fact is that we should remain as one, irrespective of our political ideologies.
Yes, we are one. We have never advocated Pakistan's stance. We are
But you
one.
haven't advocated the central government's or the Indian government's stand either.
No, they are two different things in it. The first thing is the stance of the government of India. Maybe we like it or not, but we stand by them. Where is the question of not standing with our nation? We have stood by our nation in all times, in good or bad. But the point is that Farooq Abdullah has never changed his stance. Pakistan is a neighbor. We have to talk with it. We have to talk with Pakistan, but terror cannot go along. This is what Farooq Abdullah has said. He has said always that Pakistan, the problem with Pakistan should be solved on the table, not in the battlefield, but on the same. Hello, you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
This is what Farooq Abdullah has said earlier also. I don't see any change in his stance. The same thing he has said earlier. We should talk to Pakistan, and Pakistan should not meddle in Kashmir affairs. This is what Farooq Abdullah has stated earlier also and now also.
No, that's not what he has stated in the past. And the National Conference, along with other parties in Jammu and Kashmir, like the PDP and the local unit of the Congress, have questioned the central government's decision vis-a-vis its policies against Pakistan. Be it surgical strikes or be it ties of sports that have taken place between the two countries, or the fact that abrogation of Article 370 was taken. One of the reasons that were kept in mind was that this would cut off terror.
But that didn't happen. We were telling central government, see, central government, the stance of central government may be different from what we are thinking over here on the ground. But that doesn't mean that we are not with the central government. We are one as a nation, and we stood by our nation at all times. See, the point of 370, revoking 370, they said that it will root out terror, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen, and that was our stance, that 370 is not a problem. 370 was our right. It should not have been removed. This is the stance of National Conference. Where is the change in it? Farooq Abdullah.
There is a change in that too, sir, because recently a resolution was passed after Omar Abdullah took over as the chief minister, and PDP and other parties in the state have questioned why the resolution was only about statehood and not about Article 370. So clearly that stand also has changed of the National Conference.
No. The National Conference stand is clear. Right now, at first, we want statehood back, and then 370 is also one of the core issues. We are working on it. We will take it back sooner or later, but we stood by our stand that 370 is an integral part of Jammu and Kashmir, and it should be returned to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We stand by our statement. But right now, the problem is that we want statehood at the earliest so that the problem of the people can be addressed as soon as possible. So we don't change our stand. We have a same stance when Article 370 was removed. And now again, I categorically can say that getting statehood back is our first priority. And the second one, we are not going to go back on to Article 370.
It's interesting you say that because the optics are clearly not with you on that. But Pradeep Bhandari, as far as what the NC says, if we were to believe, for the sake of the country, that finally we have parties in Jammu and Kashmir speaking in the same tone as the Indian government, do you think this would pave way for better cooperation between the two now that there is a government in Jammu and Kashmir?
Poonam, there will be cooperation with the government of Jammu and Kashmir, irrespective of stands that the government of Jammu and Kashmir takes. And if you remember, the Prime Minister, just after Omar Abdullah's alliance formed government, Mr. Rahul Gandhi did not congratulate Omar Abdullah in his tweet. It was the Prime Minister of the country who congratulated him and put forward that the centre will closely work with the state government. So we will work with the state government irrespective of the stand and the difference of opinion we have. But right now I'm talking about national security. Point number one, the difference in Farooq Abdullah's stand in the past, Poonam, has been that earlier, if you recall, and I was just checking a CNN News18 report, Mr. Farooq Abdullah used to say that peace can only prevail in the valley if you talk to Pakistan. However, our stand had been that peace is non-compromising. Peace has to happen if we talk to Pakistan or do not talk to Pakistan. We had a policy and have a policy, we will not talk to Pakistan. Today, Mr. Abdullah is saying that peace is a necessity. It is not contingent on talking to Pakistan. So there has been a flip-flop. Point number one. Point number two, the NC spokesperson has not heard what Mr. Omar Abdullah said after getting the mandate. He said that it will be foolish on the part of the NC to think that Article 370 can be got back because A, that it is now the Supreme Court has given a verdict on it. B, also along with that, the central government or no government in the near future can get Article 370 back because it is to do with the Constitution of India. So again, the NC spokesperson on your panel contradicted Mr. Omar Abdullah. This is why I do not want to take Farooq Abdullah's stand very seriously because they self-contradict themselves in the matter of few hours. Whether it is on Article 370, whether it is on Pakistan, they will take stands which appeases and suits them politically, and that will change as the weather changes in Jammu and Kashmir.
Mr. Wazir, you had a rebuttal to make. I see your hand going up.
Yes. Umar Abdullah said, what Umar Abdullah said after winning the elections was, I just want to correct BJP spokesperson on it. He said that BJP took 70 years to remove Article 370, and it is not that we are going to get it very soon from the people who have removed it. We will wait. Maybe it can take a lot of time, but we can wait for it, and we will one day get 370 back. This is what
nobody in the country ever can get back Article 370. I will give this to you in writing. Article 370 is about complete integration of Jammu and Kashmir. So forget that thought. Mr. Omar Abdullah has also forgotten that thought. You also forget that thought. You will not get extra 10 votes in the valley. Let me tell you. So do not fool the people on it. Enough is enough of your fooling. Ask your chief minister. He will tell you.
This is what you are saying.
This is not what I am saying. This is what the Supreme Court has also said. You went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court unanimously said that removal of Article 370 was correct. It was not unconstitutional. So for the last 70 years, you did not implement the Constitution of India in letter and spirit in Jammu and Kashmir. You had two flags. All of that cannot happen. That's where the first resolution that you passed, it was only to do with statehood. That is what the LG also approved and ratified, and it will go further to the center. So stop talking about Article 370. It can never come back, neither in your lifetime, neither in my lifetime, neither in 7 generations to come.
This is your thinking. We are not thinking that way. This is your thinking. Supreme
Not
Court
my
has
thinking. This is the
again
thinking
given-
of the Constitution of
This is
India. It was not a one-judge bench. It was not a one-judge bench. It was a large
Okay.
bench.
Allow
So
me-
even
Okay,
if we
okay, Pradeep-
you forget
Pradeep
it, you will
Bhandari,
not
let
come
him
to power
let him respond,
individually.
please.
So do not think about Article 370.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, in two earlier cases also, Supreme Court has upheld decisions in favor of Article 370 also. Maybe this time they have revoked it, they have upheld the union government's decision, but who knows, in the future, again we can get it back. So Article 370 is there in our agenda, and statehood is the prime agenda right now, which we are working on it.
It's
This is
interesting
what I
because
want to
before
say.
elections, Article 370 and the restoration of it seemed to be the one-point agenda of the National Conference. And you said it will happen, it will be one of the first things that we do, that we start work on. But right after elections, we have the Chief Minister now, Omar Abdullah, come out and say that it will be foolish to expect restoration of Article 370 from the BJP. So until the government at the centre changes, there is no question of that happening, which means for another 5 years, there is going to be no movement on that. So isn't that a convenient way of putting it on the back burner? But you just use that issue to whip up this sort of sentiment ahead of elections. That's the allegation the NC faces.
We cannot run away from the fact that the same government who has taken our 370 or revoked 370 will give it back to us. This is the fact, and we have to wait for at least 5 years to do something about it. So he said about fact. What wrong he has said? He has said that prime motive of us is to get our statehood back, and we will wait for 370 to return. When the right time comes, we will get it back. This is our prime agenda, one of our prime agenda.
Sure. So when that happens, we don't know, but it's still a promise that the NC wants to keep. I don't have much time left, but I want Lieutenant General Dua to have the last word on this. Lieutenant General Dua, as far as Kashmir is concerned, like NC and the PDP and many within the Congress, at least locally, have pointed out that terror attacks still continue to happen. Just in this 1 year, we've seen several of those happen. Civilians seem to be the new target, like we were discussing right at the start. South of Pir Panjal is also something that seems to be a new area of concern as far as Pakistan pushing its proxies goes in Jammu and Kashmir. How do we then trust Pakistan, or will we always be looking over our shoulder when it comes to them?
Very different perspective. You know, when I was a corps commander there, 2015 and 16, I mean, I'm talking of before Article 370, those are the times, there was so much violence in Kashmir. And not only the number of terrorist attacks, whether on the LOC infiltration attempts or in the hinterland, there was stone pelting on the road, there was band, there were hartals, the schools were closed. So protests were there, that agitational politics was there. Now we see that over the last 5 years, there is so much calm and quiet. The schools are running, there are no protests, no bans, no stone pelting. I mean, tourists are thronging, businesses are booming, there are malls, there are multiplexes, there are cinema, there are those KFC and Aldirams. All I'm trying to say is that when today's generation starts to enjoy the dividends of the peace dividend, I'm sure that things are going to change. However, will the terrorist attacks become zero tomorrow? Maybe not. There is a certain strength of residual terrorists in whole of J&K. We will. There are those handlers across. Pakistan is not going to give up. ISI is not going to give up. There will be those things, but they will be below a certain threshold that will keep happening. Now, for example, right now we are in October, and as is the cyclic nature of things that happens in Kashmir, as winter approaches, passes close because of snow, then slowly you will find such activities will dwindle. And I'm very happy that a new government will have opportunities to actually enjoy the peace or propagate the peace dividend, peace and development more than getting embroiled in security situation. And as this continues, when the younger generation sees more of this peace dividend, inshallah, we are going to see better times ahead.
That's what we hope for. Pakistan can never be trusted. They have a habit of betraying us every single time we've offered an olive branch. But India will continue to have its iron fist policy as far as our pesky neighbour is concerned. I thank you both. I thank you all, gentlemen, in fact, for joining us here on this edition and sharing your perspective. Slipping into a quick break here on this edition, but from one neighbour to another, there's a major development that has taken place on India's eastern frontier as well. The standoff between India and China seems to be easing at the LAC. We'll get you details of that.